My name is Beta Rock, and together we can change the world. We're going to look right now together, as you are so entertained and so inclined, to consider the case for Christ. I did not have this one listed out. Today just became a little kind of intersection of this, that, and the other, and I got interested in this again. I'm stepping away from thinking about relationships in this platform. Not stepping away, but it's all still relational. Because I have, let's see, one, maybe I have to even make some notes. Probably 4 or 5 different friend relationships where it's getting down to, what do you call this? I don't know what you call it. What do you do? I'm sure there's a word for this. Truth seeking. What is the truth? And to the fibers of what compels a person intellectually to believe that the teachings of the Holy Bible are reliable and good. I mean, I don't, it's just what's coming out, but I'm interested in it because of some things like um, being 45 and doing what I'm doing. Like, who's to say, even though my hair is still brown, okay, that I'm not today's, I say I'm America's pastor, fine. I mean, but what does this mean? What does that mean when I look at people like R.C. Sproul and Ravi Zacharias? I put that in the notes of this. Maybe that'll help me to get YouTube hits. I mean, I'm not really concerned about growing YouTube. I'm interested in taking the time with the people that I interact with, every single person I touch. God help me. I mean, I even had a little prayer about that. Can I do this and do I care? That came up. That is not good, but I'm telling you, like, do I care? And today I thought about this one person that I had a touch with, and I searched to try to find the person. I might be able to. I mean, that's a little overwhelming to me, frankly, but I don't know. God and I are talking about this. But the people that are in my view, this was coming up. So I redirected. Okay. Plus, I got the internet, and I've had this one, what's it called on my phone here, where I wanted to slow it down. This guy, it's an hour and 55 minutes by this guy, Seeking Allah, Finding Jesus, the Christian Testimony of Nabil Qureshi. I think he's a marvelous speaker. He's dead. I mean, Rabbi Zacharias is dead. R.C. Sproul is dead. John MacArthur and John Piper also look very old. Who is the next round of people? Let me see what comes up here in YouTube, because it probably will. Like, these are the people. Let's see if he comes up here. I see him from time to time. I don't think he's going to come up. It doesn't look like he's coming up. Some of the popular pastors today. What's that guy with the muscles? Uh, he's not going to be the guy. I mean, good Lord, he's not good. I can't find him. Am I an expert in this? No. Can I read? Yeah. Am I finding out some things? Yeah. When I talk like this, I got caught. I guess you'd say caught, even though I know that I can get caught. And I don't care. I mean, I care. I try to think about how things might go, although I don't advertise. Like, I don't. I think maybe once or maybe once did I directly invite people that I knew to listen to what I might say. It's out there, so I know that. But anyway, it did happen yesterday. It got me in a little bit of a fight with somebody. They didn't like what I was saying about them. They knew it was in code. Not you couldn't tell. You don't know who they are, but that person knew, and they didn't like it. And I had to give them a little time to think. That's what I'm trusting right now. Look, I'm going to tell the truth as I see it. I'm righteousness over relationship. So it just creates dynamics. That's what I said in my walk this morning. I'm going to spend a lot of time here, but that's where it's going. John 3:8. This is a biblical text. Anyway, I get. What's it like to be connected to me? Is it offensive? Probably. And a little bit of talking this morning about that brought that up. So this is all stirring in my head. Putting all that aside, which is on what I think about or care about, a friend here that I have known for 2 weeks is Muslim, and she was Christian. I think I talked about earlier today. And now finally listening through this guy, because his material, I was listening to it, but this was not the kind, this was deeper. I needed to sit down, and here finally did, and sit down, because even in a little bit of the research, he was quoting the Quran and said chapter and verse of a couple things. This has been over the last couple of weeks. And when I went to Google Quran and to find this, The references that he said, upon investigation, I couldn't prove that what he said was right. So did he give me the wrong reference, and can I find those things? Well, I don't know. But right now I don't know. But if I'm going to go to, toe the line against my friend here who is Muslim, I need to have this straight, okay? And maybe that's what I need to do. Or maybe I'm just going to participate in a thing. That one of the most compelling things about this particular guy's testimony was that it was a relational experience. It was relational. It started relational with a friend that became his best man in his wedding, and it took 3 or 4 years. I think it probably was 4 years from the time that the friendship started. Maybe is that even that fast? I think probably 4 years. Now, I've just gotten into a Billy Graham kind of bashing kick here more clearly, probably because I don't know. John MacArthur and John Piper don't like him, but I don't even want to say that. It's just what's happening. But again, when I think then about where my mind started here, not to be lordship salvation, to one account in a way, I mean, I got it on the website, but to say this is just not it. Okay, this is just not it. To try to even emotion. When John MacArthur talks about emotion and why the charismatic church, this is what swirls in my head. And then I got people over here today that were just looking at some base facts. What about Jesus? How do we know this? And trying to refute and argue into. And okay, I'll do this, and we'll see. But I am compelled by this Islam story about friendships. If you're watching this and wonder and think that I'm like going to be R.C. Sproul today with every answer, no. But how can I possibly, if I'm going to be R.C. Sproul someday, he started dumb and got smarter, right? So maybe today I'm dumb, but I'll figure this out. And I will be much more interested if I have a friend to journey it together with, so that I got some kind of point besides the fact of maybe sometime I'll bump into somebody. I'm compelled here because of my friends, not because I care. I'm comfortable, okay? Another thing that comes to mind here too, let me do the John 3:8. This is a biblical text. We got to start with prayer here. I want to be sincere every time. I'm skipping stuff that I thought I would do all the time. My name is Beta Rock, and together we can change the world. I do like to say that. That's pretty quick. This is a biblical text. John 3:8. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So does everyone born of the Spirit. This then is my prayer. Lord, may I be your wind here now. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, that's my prayer. When I talk like this, it's God-breathed goodness as best I can do. So, could I give this to my Islam friend to think about? Maybe we'll see how it comes out and see what I think. It was just interesting. So I made all these notes. I went through what he said and skinnied it down into facts. Like and even really with her. Now, she was a Christian, I guess, raised Christian Baptist, and I think maybe there might have been another experience in there. Had some kind of a falling out with her family, and then a boyfriend, and then she's Muslim and cares. I mean, she's a devout Muslim, okay? And it's interesting into how dedicated she is compared to the apathetic nature of the Christians that I see. I mean, and I've seen this before actually in jail. There, it's just stories. I thought here too. I'm going to say this. This is my show. I don't know how this is all coming out, but I'm trying to formulate how all this thinks. Like if you can be Lee Strobel. I was watching again his movie, The Case for Christ, the one that I put into the pictures. I said a case because that's meaning mine. Then he says it's the case, okay? And I'm giving him the credit here. I don't know enough to say it all. I did read that book, and I have watched the movie, and I'm enjoying watching it again. What compels a person? What compels God? I mean, I'm asking my question in John 6:44. If God draws, I mean, so many dynamics into this relationship. How does this happen? How does this happen? Even to myself, just to say, I told one of my best friends. I said there was like 4 or 5 people I'm thinking about. I told my oldest friend. I had to think a second. Yeah, the oldest friend in my entire life. We talked again a little bit, or I texted him. He's an atheist, agnostic. He didn't mind seeing the difference between the two. This Islam guy used the word that I have thought about from time to time, cognitive dissonance. That is so interesting to me, because I think now, from a day-to-day lifestyle, I don't have, maybe I do, and I pray about it. Cognitive dissonance, the psychological idea that if things don't line up in your head, you can't trick yourself. If things don't make sense, it drives you to figure this stuff out. So that's what the Islam guy said in this journey. And I think maybe he was talking about this point of cognitive dissonance, where things now were really starting to mess with him. Now, he was raised in a family that I think he even refers to a great grandfather that was in missions for Muslim. Okay. I relate to that. Maybe that's, one of the other things I was thinking, just that when I toe the line, it's Rocky. So many different thoughts. When Rocky fights Ivan Drago, I like watching these hero movies, because he says in there that if he's gonna die. I mean, that's what the reality of when you're a fighter for a cause, that death is just on the table. Okay. So when I toe the line into these areas that right now I stand at some level of ignorance over, it makes a possibility that I'm going to be persuaded to be Muslim or to stop believing. I'm just kind of trying to be authentic to what I think in this conversation, in part to establish a playing field with the others, to play nicely in a playground here of talking about things that matter. Like, it's essentially atheist hell and heaven get involved in this stuff, and so it's hard to necessarily stay polite. How do we do this? Seek truth, the relational aspect, being willing to die. That's what Rocky says in the Hero movie. Is Ivan Drago ready to die for this? It's one thing to have the muscles. I mean, Ivan Drago, and it's a show. Ivan Drago had the muscles. So I mean, but in the end, the issue of death is a consistent theme among crusaders, heroes. That's what I call it, the hero. What I want to be, the king of the world. So I can say it like this and all this, but at the end of the day, it really does come down to being willing to die. And I'm just giving words to this. Look, friends here, I'm coming at you, but I'm not coming at you with the idea that I'm going to persuade you. I'm coming after this with truth, and that I'm willing to die here. And as part of this, I'm willing to listen. Okay. That's been working with my one Islam friend. She sent me something because she was all happy too. Like, now maybe I got a potential convert. Okay. She sent me something, or said this guy's name, and said, "Why don't you watch this?" I said, all right. And then it came in a non-YouTube format. And then I tried to search one, and and the guy was talking in whatever accent comes from Muslim, that heavy Indian accent. I tried for less than 5 minutes to listen to this thing. She was my friend. I'm trying. And it was at Oxford, and it was some kind of a debate. And it took like 3 minutes before somebody even talked. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing this. Okay. I'll die, but I'm not going to die by death of boredom. You got to give me some better material here. And she wrote back and gave me something else. Markers here, really, from this Qureshi guy, 3 and 4 years. Again, there's 4 or 5 stories flying around in my head about people now that we're engaging in this level of conversation. What changes a heart? I don't know, but one factor I definitely believe is the relational aspect of this and the time. I'm not trying to make Billy Graham converts. Probably done largely on emotion. But emotion is here. What do we do with this? Really, when I was watching the beginning, and I'm about 45 minutes again through the actual movie, The Case for Christ. I'm enjoying it because I see it every once in a while. That's not a hero. I mean, that's not a hero movie amongst my 100 or so movies, and 98% of them are hero movies. Okay. This one's in there because I'm a good Christian boy. Good job, And I've thought about watching it, but I just never felt compelled. But here again, it's been probably a year or more since I've watched this movie. I don't know. But so it's fresh, and that was nice because it brought emotion. Because alongside of the mental journey that Lee Strobel went through in his pursuit of truth, was his wife. And again, I believe, yeah, I don't, I didn't study every factor of this to see whether it's true. I think this must have been happening exactly like what it said, that someone came to a restaurant and his daughter was choking, and a lady said it was Jesus. Jesus was part of the decision for them. They felt that there was a reason why they went to the restaurant, this nurse lady, and then it became so emotionally, is that emotion? How do you prove this? But that nugget, she's like, this is a miracle, says Lee Strobel's wife. And the interplay there and the fighting and all the dynamics of what it really took. Now, think about that. That's more realistic to me than people showing up at a Bill Graham crusade and being called to come on down and it's all better. No, what I believe from that is what I say this again and again. That what you get there is, like Pastor Johnny said, 17,000 members that the IRS can't find, half of them. I want to be 32 million. I think it's compelling. But I'm just saying, to my heart things, I'm interested in helping people as slow as it takes to get this straight. 2 years, 3 years, I don't know. And if you piss me off along the way, I'm not going to give you coffee and do. This is a relationship. That's what you get with me. I'm going to tell you the truth. Even today, well, is there facts here? Do we need to have some facts in this? It was interesting just to see. Let me see what we got in here. This is just what I'm going to send to my friend, maybe, to see if she wants to read this. Is she, the guy had been trained in how to deal with Christians and had a several year, I think, through high school and maybe into college. He had a history of being able to take all the Christian people here in America and messing with their mind. And my friend was starting with the same technique. It didn't mess with my mind, but I was like, huh. And so it didn't leave me with, I saw more of what was happening. So she was being taught the same way to handle Christians as what he was. So, and that's what he was kind of saying. One thing that comes to mind right now is that I'm learning, I don't know, not that this is the first time that I heard this, but they don't refute, well, this part is interesting. That they believe in Jesus, and it's in the Quran. And just off the top of my head, like, Muhammad ain't in the Bible. So you got like a second degree religion out of the gate, not to mention that the very fibers of things that this thing are built on are from Ishmael, the bastard son of Abraham. Dude, you're on the wrong team. I mean, right out of the gate, and they don't deny this. Okay. That's interesting and troubling. Like, that's kind of where I'm at. And dude, I don't need to hear much more about all this other stuff. But this guy was raised in it. I like my friend. I'm interested. It did polish a little bit of my understanding about the Trinity, because he was listing off these different verses here about the Bible and how do we know that God, and had good ideas. I'm not going to get into all this. So then it just makes me think a little more about, well, what to polish up my understanding of what the Trinity is and how do we talk into this. He heard what I had heard. He was making fun of the Trinity and its example of an egg. And he's like, that's not this way. And I'm like, that's right. Like that, I've had people tell me that. He used Pert shampoo or something too, and I thought that's funny. And I'm like, we can do better than this. And he basically then was saying that it comes down to a faith, and that was good. But he was then compelled. He said to his friend, I thought this was interesting, because there were biblical texts that helped him believe in the Trinity. At the end of the day, how much? He said, I forget the different factors that he had, but he said, I believe 85%. I thought that was a genuine, honest, like First Psalm 1:1, tell the goddamn truth. That was an honest appraisal. And he said that his friend almost spit out his like gelato or something when he heard that it was that. I think he was impressed that it was that high. Okay, so he wasn't so compelled to this that it wasn't 100, it was 85. And then that realization, it seemed like that was as good as it was going to get. In other words, understanding that the Trinity is what it is with the very Bible that we have. If you're a Christian person, you're only going to understand it 85%. I like that. That's good. We don't need to be so This Trinity that we stand upon and want to go to heaven based on our beliefs. Dude, it's okay to breathe here that we are only going to 85% understand this. I'm good with that because there's Bible verses that make it confusing. And so trying to get into 100% based on what we have is simply not going to happen. So I think we lose a battle here if we try to, like, even what was happening, because with this friend we had another, and then we were doing exactly what the Islam guy said he had done with him, and it wasn't compelling. And then after a 2 or 3 year journey, he got to 85% and intellectually, and it still wasn't completely compelling, but it shifted the dynamic. What happened at that point in his story? I'm just telling you my story. Why do I do this every day? To stir up God in your head, to hear somebody that's me, America's pastor, who I believe I am the authority in this country, in this world, essentially, till somebody can. I like McCarthy. They're dying. I mean, okay. Let me be the guy that people are going to stand up against, and if you let's do this. But I'm tired of, no, well, I'm telling you what I think, and so if you interact with me, you're going to get it straight. You're going to get it hard, and it's going to offend and hurt sometimes. But I think at the end of the day, this comes to mind. I said on my gravestone, I don't know, I don't know if I said this, but I know I've said it before, and I'm saying it again. The gravestone has two sides, right? So on the one side, here lies the guy that gave a shit. Okay. America's pastor. That does not sit into the way we think in world cultism or in church. Anybody. I mean, nobody would go to the Pope's tomb and expect to see, here lies the guy that gave a shit. But this is why I'm saying, look, it's not a debate about whether I am America's pastor. I am. And this is what you're getting from today's 2020 version of what this job needs. We need people to tell the truth. No more Jesus coloring books. We need to know the truth. And the truth for me, I'm just saying, was that lady, when she sent me the thing, was boring, and I couldn't understand it. And I'm not a good Christian by trying harder. I'm a real person that said, send me something better. I'm with you to the end. Here lies a guy that gave a shit. And I do, and I have, and I believe that is a God-breathed characteristic of myself that is tried and true from the beginning of my life, and will be true until I'm dead. Something stayed with me from the Dwayne Sallenberger to Beta Rock transformation, and this is one of those nuggets. Then on the other side of the tomb, we can say something nice, okay? Dwayne is dark, Beta is light. However life plays out, we will witness, we will see. 85%, just telling you stories. Then it compelled him to take that same evidence to refute Islam. And then that's one of the things that he said, that with Rabbi Zacharias and all the work that Rabbi Zacharias had done, I'm not an expert in this. This is not really something I'm particularly passionate about. It did compel me. I have a friend that read the book, and that really became, I think, a real reason why he came to Christ. Is he fully devoted? This friend, just to say, as comes to mind, I thought about him because he's a longtime friend too. Oh, like I put my shoulder, I just want you to feel like, dude, we're just having coffee now talking, because these people are my personal friends. I care because I care for myself, but I care for other people. And when I apply, say, a Beta Rock mentality, my self mentality to this friend, what I really think, okay, this is not so nice, really, is that I'm super, super glad that you came to this outside of some kind of a family, or out some kind of a, this is what you do, and it was authentic. He had a taste of righteousness. He had a taste of holiness that I do believe. And he even told me this. He said after it was done, he was left asking himself and others, what's next? And I believe that he was in a bastard pastor church that didn't, even to this day, give him nuggets of what it looked like to be a disciple. I think that's what he was expecting. Dude, this was a life-transforming event that happened to Lee Strobel or however might have been going on in his mind. And then I went to church and got bullshit and coffee and donuts. What the hell happened here? I'm not giving up, okay? But I still haven't tasted the living water. That's what I think about him. And it was upsetting me because, doggone it, I'm tired of dealing with this. I'm tired of putting myself on the line with these people. Okay? He's my friend, and it's hard. I want to just be friends. Can it be easier? This is me crying a little bit into the reality of what it's like I'm just trying to tell you the goddamn truth. But probably now that it came up, I'll think about a way to talk to him because I've already tried, actually, in his case. I did invite him to think together, and he didn't respond. And I'm tired of thinking about ways to get into it. Just saying. It's hard on me. I care about these people, and I want to say it right, and I want to say it compelling. I want to say it true. It's nice to be Calvin in these areas and just say it's God, but there is a real part here where I have a job to do, and who knows, God help me. Okay. What else from this? Anyway, maybe we'll come to this, but there are some things. I mean, he did point out some ones of these verses with the Trinity that I kept, because I think then if this friend of mine, this should develop cognitive dissonance with her. Okay? You can't read these things just like he did. If she came through the same Muslim teaching that this guy did, which seems likely based on the initial things, then these verses are the doozies. Okay? These are the ones that are going to have you get cognitive dissonance at the very best. And it only took 85%, but these are the ones that got it to the point where he's like, okay, I'm kind of compelled. Then it became a fight against his own, and when he matched up the historical things that the Bible has, although they're not perfect, okay, again, 85%, that's a theme that's coming to mind here. Like this one other friend that's also involved in all this says about Josephus and these really wonderful facts. So does my first friend. I mean, the consistency against the arguments against Christianity are kind of known. Maybe it's the internet. I don't know, probably. The ability to find good answers. And it's not like an open and book case. Okay? It's not. Does that mean I wouldn't go through and think along with? Yeah, I haven't heard that, because then things were happening. So then I think he got to the point, this Qureshi guy, where, okay, Christianity was 85% good, and definitely the Muhammad process was not nearly as compelling as Christianity. Okay, now we're really cooking. And then it became a personal decision. I think about that with the friendship I'm in now. Look, there's these things, and it's messing with my mind, the cognitive dissonance, and I see and all these different things of life. Okay, well now, dude, I did like that you were my friend, and that we, like in this case, that we sat together. But now this is becoming between me and God. I'm just giving my view of what was happening here, and he said it, but I'm giving you my take on the thing. So then it became prayerful, which he wasn't allowed to do as a Muslim, to pray directly to God, but he did. But I'm saying that makes a lot of sense. I want to know. And his framework was dreams, because that's how Muslims believed, and God seemed to honor this. And so inside, this is, again, just my take on things and how I fit, or if you're a witness, or however this can go, into this process of life change. Okay, how do... That happened. He had the dream. He was still talking to his friend. It wasn't like he was out. His friend was just simply there all through the process and had a role, but here it shifted, but he was still there. He talked to his friend, and his friend pointed him to something about a narrow gate. Not something, I looked it up. I think it's Luke 11 or 15. It could be on my phone. It's still there. It's there. And that was the illustration of his dream, and he'd never read that part of the Bible or whatever. So to him, it became so clearly obvious that God had him have that dream, because there was the nugget that he used words like electric, like it was electric. He had a couple things and that's normal too. Again, does Billy Graham do this in a crusade where it's in one night and it's all done? No, this is way more like real life. He said after that happened, the electric in his dream, even thinking of my story, when things happen that I can't say, that I might get to say soon again, reminded me of this stuff, where the power of God was sitting here in events that are 15 and 20 years old. And then to think things, no, look, this was a process where 15 years later, it didn't mean that this wasn't true, but this is just life. I don't know what to say. It doesn't come in a nice cookie jar box and it all makes sense with a bow and we, I mean, isn't that compelling? He had a dream and he had electric and he had the verse and everything. Shouldn't that have been enough? No, that wasn't. He said it took him two more dreams. He's like, God, you got me, but I need some more. Don't we do this? Don't we as humans, when God's knocking our head off, we still don't listen? I like the honesty, you know, I like the honesty. And again, if you're in some kind of a church that counts the people and you got one, and then wait a second, they call you up and you're like, oh, damn it, I can't report to church board that I got a good convert. Like, what are we doing here, people? Beta Rock does not do that. I never will. I want to build 12 disciple type people of tight relationships where we could sit around in a class and talk like this. Look, I'm journeying with you. I'm in your class and I had a dream, okay? And then I told God that I didn't believe him and wanted two more. And I mean, really, people are going to just gravitate to that truth. And it doesn't mean that, I mean, I don't know what they're going to say there, but the fact is that God gave him like two more dreams. That's his testimony. And again, I love the words. I loved hearing what he said. It was like electric and how he said it. He said he was reading Matthew 5 and it's like, I just loved his honesty. He's like, look, do you think, he was telling the audience, and he believed this because it was so true to him. He was using Bible things, and in the beginning of time, God meant it for him, him. He had him in mind for that moment and that time to hear those exact words, electric on the page, and he read more and it became electric again. Okay, that's like the third step in his process, his final step. Best I know from his story, I say full surrender. Dude, I'm going for the jugular right away. I guess, although I am patient, kinda. He said, then it became his family. And he said when he told his dad that he became a Christian, I think I wrote this down. Let me find this one. Something about his backbone. Yeah. Nabil, that was his name. Nabil, today I feel as though my backbone has been ripped out from inside of me. He had to lose his family for this, and that hurt. So, I mean, at the end of the day, his other friend's name was David, and that compelled him, but not really. And then he got pissed at God. Again, imagine being in a Sunday school class where you can talk like this to other people. Okay? I just believe this happens where people are really engaged and they're really human at the same time. And this is the truth that we never get in the common church Sunday school. Dude, we're just having coffee and donuts and talking about the fucking Phillies. God, it comes out like this is not at all good. I want to be in a class. I personally am leading this to be in some kind of a class where this is the kind of stuff that we talk about. This stuff changes lives and matters. He then prayed, God, why didn't you kill me? Like I was in, we were all happy. And you know what God said? Listen, who says this? This is the prayer of Job. Job got all mad at God and God slammed him back for like 2 chapters. Who are you, Job? And I think that's kind of what he said to him. I could listen again to find, but I think that was it. It's like, it's not about you. Okay, that's what God told him. I'm sorry about your parents. Just like I said earlier today, I'm sorry about your nan who's your soulmate that has cancer. But there's a little bit of no, look, I'm not going to gravitate or grovel with you down here in your bullshit. This is God saying, dude, I'm God here. Okay? You're just the clay and I'm the potter and it's my show. When you start talking like that, it's really devil speak into an idolization of things and people and anything that stands between our relationship and the holy God that made us. He jealous. I say it nice like that. He jealous, but I'm telling you what, that has an impact because he is. And he will come after anything that stands between his loved child and him. Even if it's your mama, even if it's your nan, okay? Even if it's your stuff. I mean, it's okay to talk back to God. I do. I have a sermon ready to come about wrestling with God. Charles Stanley doesn't come after kind of like I said. He just does what God says. I'm like, no, we have a biblical model here that says we need to wrestle this out. God likes that too. He doesn't mind touching us. He doesn't mind when doesn't Jacob lose a knee or something in that fight. He doesn't mind that. You want to take him on, he'll stand there. Yeah. And he'll wrestle because he loves that. He's tussling around with his cubbies. Why didn't you kill me? That's what he prayed. I wasn't in jest. Why'd my parents have to hurt? If you just would have killed me after the time that I gave you, he said about Sinner's Prayer, he was kind of joking, but I love what he said. It brought chills to me. So it wasn't mind. It was relational. You know, the kit and caboodle. Consistent themes, though. Personal. Intimate. Idols. Full surrender. Lordship. It's there. Is it at your church if it's not changed? I mean, it's not even I don't even believe you if you go to a church that says full surrender, because you don't. Join Bader Rock Church. It's gonna be better. Maybe one more story. I'm just dabbling into this. I think the things matter. I'd like to know. I'd like to see some of these manuscripts. The one guy had a manuscript. I'm interested. Where do you get that? Do they sell them on eBay? They might. I don't know. That'd be really cool to have some kind of fragment of some kind of, what did they say, 30,000 texts and stuff? Like, maybe it's out there. I mean, the guy, when Lee Strobel was talking to him, it might have been the very guy. I mean, this was a movie. Maybe the guy in the movie was the real guy. But he showed Lee Strobel's actor person the part of the Bible. He might have been real. I don't know. But the way he said it made me wonder that, because he's like, isn't this cool? Like, I got a shred of the fabrics of the things that came down from the very beginning. Wow. Right. Where do they keep that stuff? I'd like to get one of them on my wall. I did get to the point of full surrender, and I got one treasured item. Oh my God. A video. God willing, into all this. Would I surrender that video? I would, but I don't think God has that in mind. That was my treasure. A few other things, but that's my treasure. I lose sleep over it every once in a while, wondering if I'd still have it. Oh, the fibers of goodness in that. Anyway, that's my story. Just to say, it felt good today when I listened to the beginning part of this Case for Christ. The lady that was the black lady actor, that was the nurse that smacked the back of the girls and the clogged throat, you know, she started to breathe again. And she became Lee Strobel's wife's mentor to faith. I don't think I'm going to cry now, but I almost felt it, even just there thinking about it. It's been a little while since I've had tears. I mean, not really, because here even again today I had tears. But I'd like to be able to share them with you sometime, like to record it. I've been in tears on videos back when I was at 32 East Baltimore. I don't think I've cried at any Bader Rock messages these days. there's a not necessarily a callousness, and just this whole awareness. What compels when church leaders today sit around and think? I mean, again, with MacArthur hammering into critically into the charismatic movement and their emotional pleas, because that's what Lee Strobel's wife was saying. She didn't listen to John MacArthur, okay, but she's saying, I felt something. I felt something like I've never felt. And then John MacArthur is smashing into this. Well, yeah, okay. But feelings are real. They're real. If they are. It's not about an emotional conversion here necessarily, but it did bring tears to my eyes to see that beyond all this, when I think of my friend from the beginning of time, my time, to this new Muslim lady friend, to this other guy, the people that I'm thinking about, to my other friend that's been around for a while, I care. And there is a part that here it is a combination of all these different factors. What does it take to bring you to full surrender? What did it take for me? I mean, that's one of the things that he said. I mean, was it First Peter 3? Let me find that one. That's another good one. I'm like, okay, well, that does make sense to me. We can learn all these things, but where did he say it? Come on, First Peter, let me find it quick. Come on. I don't, where's it at? Am I not going to find it? I think it's First Peter 3 something. I guess I didn't. I'm sure I wrote it down. Why is it not coming up here? I'm trying to talk and look at this thing at the same time. First Peter. Oh, good. I thought I had it written down. First Peter 3:15. A reason for the hope that lies within them. And I've heard pastors preach into this, and I'm kind of doing it here now. It's not good enough to really make this be the only thing, but what is my testimony, the final nugget of things that would have brought me to that full surrender? 15 years and all the things I'm not getting rebaptized. I mean, that's part of my story. But I think that's what God was, again, kind of just waiting for these kind of things. What did it come down to? It came down to saying I didn't want to sin anymore. And my family. Good. I thought the two things. That was kind of, I think it was a two thing. Were there pastors around when this was happening? Was Billy Graham sitting there with a book ready to write me down? No. This was God and me, my Abba, working things out over 44 years of shit and things and life. I don't mean to say shit there necessarily, but when I think back on those times, it was calm and it was sure. Kind of like today when I deal with some, like the friend just hearing people tell me their stories. I can hear and say, that's got to change, that's got to change, that's got to change. And I didn't even say it. Okay. I was thinking about this because the cost of, I'm right. Say there's three things. I'm right in every area. They are so intermeshed into all this stuff that if I came at the truth right then, it would just bounce off like, I don't know, but it needs to be dealt with. And I'm not going to shortchange. That makes me mad as I think about it here. I was baptized at 12 in a believer's setting. I was baptized again in Georgia from another time when things were right. Did I have a pastor that was asking me difficult questions at those times? No. Okay. Really, the second was emotional plea. I'm not saying it doesn't have a place, but at some other level, God help me. I mean, in the pursuit of what I'm saying here, I'm going to be convinced as your pastor when it comes down to these kinds of things. Like, I'm going to sit there and, like in this friend's case, we knock off one of those three nuggets. Whoa, that's going to be a life changing experience, or you might feel Jesus in the house. Like the lady said, this is so emotional, so real. I can't even believe this. Okay, well, honey, I've been around the block long enough. We still got two to work with here. I love you, but I'm not going to bless into something that I still see trouble. Now I'm going to another. Who fathered me? God. Took 45 years years. Calm though he was, and I think about it. Okay, you want that? He wasn't all huffy or excited. Are you ready to get that straightened out? And then the answer, when I think about it, is there more? Is there more to surrender? No. Can you say that? I was listening to Jim, what's his name? Jim Gaffigan. He's funny. I like him. And he's enough Catholic, I guess, that his comedy, I mean, he really hardly ever, but he comes after, because he's telling his version of, uh, he's telling the truth. I was walking today. I went on a walk. And I thought about what he was saying. He made a joke about Jesus and asking the disciples to fully surrender. See, you can joke about this, but he is intellectually fully engaged with the story, thinking about it. Okay. And it's funny because everybody kind of, I don't know, but he's on point with, he could be a Christian comedian. I think he really is. I mean, I don't think he'd really deny this. He needs to lose weight, that guy. I haven't seen him lately. I could Google him to see what his current thing is. This might have been, he's totally fat. He's always making fat jokes. And while he's eating his donuts and telling good jokes, well, he is gaining a lot of weight. Anyway, he said something about a pole, because when he'd been thinking about it. When Jesus called the disciples, his point is that he didn't call somebody with a lot of wealth. So when the disciples left everything and followed him, he knew that from the Bible. And people say it all serious, like, I'm talking to you serious, and this is serious. But I mean, we can throw in some Jim Gaffigan and let it all kind of sort itself out. This is serious. I mean, eternity and your eternal destination hinges on how you process all this and respond, not just believe, into your actions behind what's happening here. So this is a magnitude thing. People don't let me talk because of the fire behind my words. And we're going to get tested again here into all this terrain. I got some plans, God willing. Anyway, Jim Gaffigan reads that, and he's thinking about it from he's serious, but he's saying, first of all, one of his joke points was that we're going to be done here, but we'll see how this feels. He said that when Jesus called everybody to full surrender, that's what I'm calling you to. And so he says, well, but Jesus called these poor guys that were fishermen. So Jesus, however he said it, I mean, you can hear it on YouTube for yourself. He's like, okay, he has a fishing pole. It's not like that's so. But the funny part when I was walking was that Peter, whoever it would have been that he would have been having in mind, do you just want, do you just want me to leave it right there? Like that he's littering. Okay, that was what I thought. Because then, what did that look like? I mean, what are we going to do? I mean, we don't know that. Maybe Jesus would have been, I don't know. But isn't that funny? Like, there's Peter's boat making a litter. Where'd Peter go? He went with Jesus. Well, there's a $200 fine because Peter littered. I don't know, but it was funny. It is funny. It is funny. Just like emotional pleas aren't the ticket to salvation, and the prayers aren't the ticket. Have you fully surrendered? That's the Beta Rock best case that can be. I'm on record now. It's just, not that I haven't said it, but it's lordship salvation. It's confusing. We don't know, but it's some shred of the thing at the end of the day. If Jesus asks you that, is there anything that you haven't given up? And you can't say no to that, then you're just not there. And you face risks of hell for it. That's the plain truth as I see it. That's it. And it's not my job to get it all cleaned up. It's God's. I think it can be done. I see the cognitive dissonance in the people that I talk to. Fight. Ooh. But I love them. That's my strategy. You hear it. This isn't something we could write down on a piece of paper. What's it? How's he do this? I just love when people, I give a shit. I'm good at that. And it's going to, when I think about that and think about things that are coming up here, Oh, I mean, I never even thought it meant that. I just thought at some point that no, like it means now, just like the Bible can say, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. I done listened in church, and I now see that example in my own life in ways that I never would have imagined. I'm praying the same prayer as the Koreshi guy. Why did you make it so damn hard? But I did cry some tears, and it felt nice. It felt nice to feel. We're fine. For the boys, it came to intellectual. For the lady, it just was, you saved my daughter. This couldn't have just happened. And to see, I'm not, I can't recreate them. You could watch the movie, see if it makes you cry, but it just felt good to cry again because outside of the emotion, it's not in my own testimony. There was times in life and through this that just buckets of tears. And this is from a lifestyle where maybe at some point 35 years had gone by and I could have cried 3 times. And then tears came from just understanding, even in things that still weren't cleaned up. Why does God make it this way? I don't know. Okay. Because they were genuine tears too, even though I hadn't fully surrendered. To really just come to terms that, oh, that's the gospel message. That Christ died for sin. Oh, yeah, this was sin. And to feel that love. Wow. That it did. It just, buckets of tears were flowing. And then whatever happened there with my brain and whatever, the tears and then tears again, just in more pain. And it does feel nice. But then after time, when prayers go unanswered long enough, look, the emotion dies. What's left is resolve and commitment and the rock upon which I stand. And that's where I've been at. I've cried the tears, I've felt the emotion, I've read the book, and this is where I'm standing today. Watching other people go through their journey, holding their hand, extending my hand. It's fun. Okay. Today I got a little nugget of grace or something to be able to cry some tears. I'm just telling you, it felt good. I'm trying to share it with you. The lack of tears that happen now aren't because I don't care. I do. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm making this a prayer for me, okay? God, help me to be a good America's pastor. In Jesus' name, amen.